Crow Country is an accessible, retro-inspired survival horror game that does an impressive job of capturing the look and feel of early 3D isometric games that came out on the PS1 or SEGA Saturn during the late 90s. The structure and gameplay feel like Resident Evil with a hint of Parasite Eve II, while the environments feel like a mix of Silent Hill and any number of chunky JRPGs from that period. It's a distinctly cute but creepy vibe. Viewed as a love letter to those classic games, it's brilliant, but being dependent on those associations is also a mixed blessing. It's smartly made and polished, but without that nostalgic hook, I'm not sure it has a unique identity like Lone Survivor or Signalis had. That said, Crow Country hits all the right notes with an opening that leaves the player feeling vulnerable, unsettled and confused. Mara, a special agent, Mara Forrest apparently, is a capable but unreadable protagonist who is clearly keeping secrets from the player and the supporting cast. Arriving at the abandoned Crow Country amusement park, 2 years after an incident shut it down, she's quick to shoot her way through a padlocked gate, shrug off horrific encounters, wield a myriad of weapons, and solve convoluted puzzles that leave other survivors stumped. Her connection to the park is unclear, and neither is the reason behind her pursuit of the missing owner, Edward Crow. She's evasive in dialogue, and even her comments on environmental details give only the slightest inkling of her personality and past. It's not just Mara, though, as many of the cast were former staff and clearly complicit in the unfolding events. As a result, simply unraveling the mystery was a strong motivator to keep playing. What was the nature of the incident that shut down the park and drew the attention of a photojournalist and lawyer? Why have Edward Crow's daughter, former colleagues, and a detective all arrived on the specific evening? What does an American amusement park have to do with the Brazilian gold mine? What are these bizarre creatures that the former staff refer to as guests? And who is Mara, really? It's a solid setup, with some predictable and some unexpected twists. The environment changes over the course of the night, hinting more and more as to the nature of the threat, though the ending sequence is a bit of an exposition dump that expects you to read a note midway through the final encounter, if you want all the details. After the narrative, it was the mandatory puzzles and over a dozen hidden secrets that hooked me. The amusement park setting, and an increasingly paranoid Edward Crow, provide narrative context for a Resident Evil-style structure. As with that game, Crow Country gets a lot of mileage out of a small but dense location, so you'll often know exactly where you're trying to go, though you'll only get there several hours later after jumping through an inordinate number of hoops. Thankfully, Crow Country has some great interconnected puzzles, rather than just hiding keys and data disks behind boss fights. They are present, I guess, but you can run away from everything, outside of the final encounter, and still make progress. In authentically classic fashion, you'll be scouring the environment for key items, clues and notes, with a handy map that marks the location of unsolved puzzles or points of interest to guide you. There are keypads and locks that just require the right code or key. There are logic puzzles that require entering the right sequence of events or the correct values. And there are arcade minigames and plenty of weird use item on object puzzles befitting the setting. The rest of the cast also have a role to play beyond storytelling, as they sometimes provide you with clues or assist in a puzzle. Though even if you completely ignore the few you aren't forced to talk to, the ending variations are negligible. Of course, this is a survival game and Mara is packing heat, so shooting your way through the park is a viable strategy if you're methodical, tactical and cautious. Sadly, while I love classic resource management, the combat is my least favorite element and goes hand in hand with camera issues. The close isometric viewpoint is appropriately claustrophobic, but you've got to combine stand and aim shooting mechanics that use the left thumbstick with camera rotation on the right thumbstick to track targets. The system allows for precision targeting of item crates, weak points and environmental hazards well enough, but it snaps the camera in the direction Mara is facing, which is a real pain in the arse when you're trying to clear some distance before turning around to shoot again. An option for classic tank controls provides a more reliable option for Mara's movement, but my brain struggled to coordinate orienting by the D-pad while simultaneously rotating the camera. Thankfully, Crow Country is not a particularly hard game, even if more monsters, traps, and even fake pickups appear as the night progresses, almost Parasite Eve II style. There's an exploration mode that keeps enemies passive, but even the ranked survival horror mode features an abundance of resources, easy to avoid enemies, and very few high damage or insta-kill encounters. There are all the basics you would expect from the genre, useful shortcuts and smartly distributed safe rooms with soothing music and sources of fire that serve as manual save points. But you can also get hints from a fortune teller machine, refill pistol bullets from Mara's car, rummage through dustbins and vending machines for supplies when you're running low, and several secrets include overpowered weapons and upgrades. Playtime and the number of saves you make don't affect the ranking score, so you can be super cautious and use rewards from lower ranks to make subsequent runs easier if you're chasing an S+ rank or speedrunning the game. Looping back to the start, Crow Country does a phenomenal job of emulating late 90s survival horror games, nailing the look, sound, and claustrophobic terror that those early 3D environments excelled at. It's got an intriguing narrative and fantastic puzzles to keep you engaged during the brisk 5 to 6 hour initial run, though the wonky gunplay and camera control are more likely to frustrate than generate tension. As Crow Country can feel like a greatest hits collection of classic IP, it'll most likely resonate with retro gaming fans or those who grew up playing early survival horror games. But given it's so accessible, it might also be a good choice for those just wanting a taste of how classic survival horror games played.
If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel, as it helps us grow.